Thank you for watching QTV News. We take a look at stories making headlines in our news. President Edgar Lungu has visited flood victims in Mambo district, where about 200 households have been displaced following flash floods that hit the area recently. The University of Zambia UNZA has launched a farmer weather predicting phone application called Cropus, meant to help in predicting weather patterns. And now the news in detail. President Edgar Lungu has visited flood victims in Mambo district, where about 200 households have been displaced following flash floods that hit the area recently. Zamis reports that in his message to the affected families who are being sheltered at Mpata Primary School, President Lungu assured the victims of a lasting solution to the problem. President Lungu says flash floods have been a persistent disaster in the area, hence the need to find a lasting solution to address the issue. He has called on the people to be health conscious in order to avoid disease outbreaks. The president is urging them to strictly follow guidelines as being given by experts. And Chief Jumbe, who thanked the president for ensuring timely help was extended to the affected people, says the timely response and the help people have continued to receive has lessened the burden that came with the disaster. Chief Jumbe, who pledged his support, said the floods might have only hit selected households but affects everyone. Before leaving the arena, President Lungu flagged off the handing over of supplies delivered by the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU and other cooperating partners to the affected families. Inspector General of Police Kakoma Kanganja has deployed more police officers to stop any further escalating of the volatile situation in Chingola, where riots broke out on Wednesday. Mr. Kanganja says the reinforcement is meant to provide security and enhance investigations into crimes committed during the riots, in which innocent people's property was destroyed and stolen. He has assured members of the public that police officers in the area are doing everything possible to bring to book perpetrators of the heinous crimes. Mr. Kanganja has called upon Chingola residents to remain calm and join hands with the police in tracking and bringing to book perpetrators of the said crimes. He has also warned those who have taken advantage of the volatile situation in Chingola to commit crimes and instigate violence to stop immediately.
I'm assuring members of the public that my officers are doing everything possible to have the perpetrators of the heinous crime brought to book. In the interim, I have mobilized and deployed enough manpower to provide security and beef up on the current strength as to enhance investigations. I therefore call upon all Chingola residents to remain calm and join hands with the police in this mission of tracking and bringing to book perpetrators of this crime. Members of the public therefore are advised to desist from taking the law into their hands, as all those who would be found breaking the law under the pretext of expressing their displeasure will also be visited by the law. My command has information on criminal elements who have taken advantage of the volatile situation in the district to instigate violence as well as commit other forms of crimes such as breaking of shops and looting. My timely advice to those with such ill intention is that they should refrain from doing so or begin counting their days, as police will catch up with them.
The University of Zambia UNZA has launched a farmer weather predicting phone application called Cropus, meant to help in predicting weather patterns. The Cropus application is a result of a collaborative effort between the School of Agriculture Sciences of UNZA, College of Agriculture of Makerere University, and University of California. Speaking during the launch, UNZA Vice Chancellor Luke Mumba, in a speech read on his behalf by UNZA Director of Graduate Studies, Professor Henry Chingabula, says that the major innovation of the app is to predict weather data at a specific place rather than a more generalized approach. Professor Mumba says the phone app predicts weather forecast and real-time satellite meteorology, rainfall, temperature, wind speed, and relative humidity to farmers to fast-pace farm agriculture production decision-making in the face of climate change and weather variability. He says prior to the launch, training awareness meetings were conducted with farmer groups and agriculture officers in selected districts.
For example, in this advent of climate change, where rainfall patterns have become so erratic, farmers will be helped to make decisions such as when to plant. So the development of this smart phone app is a timely achievement. The major innovation is that this app predicts weather data at a specific place rather than a more generalized approach. Let me at this point acknowledge the funders of the project, USAID, and the National Academy of Science, NAS, of the United Nations, of the United States government. We are most grateful for this support. I also acknowledge the research efforts of the School of Cultural Sciences at the University of Zambia. Earlier last year, the school released the climate smart cowpea variety.
Speaking at the same launch, Makerere University research scientist John Wasige expressed optimism that the project will bridge the gap between available information and farmers. Dr. Wasige believes that the information that this project will provide will help farmers know when they can plant their crops.
Now, if you also bring in the aspect of climate change, now we're having high temperatures. There's increased the occurrences of high temperatures, but also drought. You can see Africa is a hot spot for drought, and it's going to be more frequent in the future. But also, if you look at where we are going, if you look at Africa, although by the time they ran the global models, we didn't have enough data for Africa, but the thing is that we are going to have a decline in rainfall and also high variability.
Barclays Bank PLC has announced that it will officially change its name to Absa Bank PLC on 10 February 2020. Acting Managing Director Hatton Mailiki says the bank will legally trade as Absa Bank PLC in Zambia from this date while continuing with its transition from Barclays Bank. Mr. Mailiki, who is the bank's retail banking director, states that the change of name and brand is one of the largest and most ambitious corporate rebranding projects in the continent's history. Announcing the development during a media briefing in Lusaka, Mr. Mailiki disclosed the change of name is also part of a broader multi-country rebranding program of the parent company, Absa Group. Mr. Mailiki has also made an assurance that no Barclays employees will lose their jobs as a result of the transition to Absa Bank. He says that the bank has actually created more jobs in this period, adding that the bank branches that have been partially closed during the rebranding process will be reopened soon.
We spoke to you about there will be a day when we will now be called Absa Bank Zambia Limited. And we are proud to announce to you today that on the 10th of February 2020, we will officially change our name and now be proudly called Absa Bank Zambia Limited. PLC. Zambia Bank PLC. And that is really important. And this is really the great milestone. So all these things we've been doing that we highlighted to you, changing our branches, changing our technology, it all culminates into this big day, which for us is the 10th of February 2020, when we become Absa Bank. So we are really happy to announce to you that today signals the commencement of that final leg for us, the 30 days that we really want our customers as we walk this to know that there will be a lot. Watch out, we will be launching more branches. We've just, we are concluding the Cosmopolitan, we are concluding Kafue branch, we are concluding Monze branch, and these are branches that will be open within the next few weeks as we go into that day we will be called the Absa Bank.
Meanwhile, Barclays Bank Head of Marketing and Corporate Relations Mato Shimavale has disclosed that the bank invested over 5 million kwacha in community activities in the country last year.
What we take very seriously as the Absa Group is the investment in our citizenship agenda, because we believe in providing a solution to societal challenges that Africa faces. We know the economic challenges that many African countries face, and the societies also face those things of unemployment and so on. But we choose to be a force for good in society as APSA Group. How to make a difference in these communities and ensure that people are getting ahead in life and giving them that helping hand that is so necessary and is required. Just give them a helping hand and make sure that they move ahead in life. And so that's why we take our citizenship agenda very seriously as the APSA Group. And it's just more than our operational existence in this country and in Africa in general. It's more than just focusing on our core business, which is banking and the financial services that we provide, but it's also ensuring that that difference in the community is pronounced, that being force for good in the community is noted. And that's why last year we invested over 5 million kwacha in community activities alone in this country, in Zambia. And we can go into detail on that. We look at obviously the biggest one being the APSA Cup, which is transformed from the previously known as the Barclays Cup.
The Northwestern Supply and Sanitation Company Limited has announced an average water tariff increment of 3.5% effective January 2020. The increment has been approved by the National Water Supply and Sanitation NOSCO as an upward tariff adjustment for 2020. Company Public Relations Officer Barbara Kalunga Sianyambo has clarified that NOSCO approved a 3-year progressive tariff for the company utility to apply in 2017, 2018 and 2019. Ms. Kalunga explains that the 3.5% was approved earlier but was never implemented as the regulator did not sanction it for implementation. She says management foresees further adjustment at a later date to cushion the impact of the increased cost of energy. Ms. Kalunga has since implored customers in the province to always pay their bills in full, as this is what will help the company in managing optimally and provide the service at the level required. Health Professional Council of Zambia has condemned the alleged professional misconduct of 2 suspended health practitioners, saying it would take disciplinary action against them. Recently, Health Minister Dr. Chitoli Chufya suspended 2 pharmacists for allegedly creating an artificial shortage of drugs. HPCZ Head of Public Relations Terry Msonda says the conduct of the 2 suspended health practitioners was a breach of both the Health Professional Act No. 24 of 2009 and Professional Code of Ethics and Practice and Discipline Fitness to Practice. Mr. Msonda has told QTV News in an interview that such unethical conduct is not only a huge blow to efforts by the government to attain universal coverage for all, but also has the potential to tarnish good image of the health practitioners whose conduct is exemplary in the country.
But I should mention here that the action was a breach of both the Health Profession Act number 24 of 2009 and also the Profession Code of Ethics and Discipline Fitness to Practice. Specifically, if we talk about Part 7, Section 61 there, it clearly indicates that a practitioner commits a professional misconduct if they engage themselves in the dishonest, fraudulent, and deceitful manner, and also if their conduct is prejudicial to the professional and likely to bring it into disrepute. And we want to state here that such unprofessional conduct is tarnishing the good image of so many distinguished pharmacists out there, so many distinguished clinical officers, and generally health practitioners who are gratefully exerting themselves professionally. So we want to condemn and regret such an action, and such actions are meant to both frustrate and reverse the government effort in attainment of the universal health coverage, and sadly also depriving the public of the right to access health services. So as a council which is mandated to regulate the professional conduct of practitioners, who allow the professional disciplinary process to take its course.
The People's Alliance for Change has accused bus owners and government of exploiting Zambians through the hike in bus fares announced by the Road Transport and Safety Agency, RATSA, recently. Party leader Anford Banda says the increase in bus fares on long-distance routes by 13%, 2 kwacha on intermine Copperbelt routes, 1 kwacha on Copperbelt local routes, 2 kwacha on Lusaka local routes, and 2 kwacha on Lusaka peri-urban routes is too much and is imposing additional burden on common man who is already struggling to put food on the table. With petrol prices having increased by 1 kwacha 64 ngwe and diesel by 1 kwacha 36 ngwe in December last year, Mr. Banda expects that bus fares would at least increase by 15 ngwe or 1 kwacha on local routes between 5% and 10% on long-distance routes and not 2 kwacha and 13% announced by Ratsa. He thinks it is difficult to comprehend how the 2 kwacha and 13% was arrived at in a meeting where government was also present to represent the Zambian people. The opposition leader feels that the Ministry of Transport and Communications failed to represent the Zambian people and are to blame for the unreasonable increase in bus fares. Mr. Banda feels the hike in bus fares is too much and will increase further the cost of living as people will now be required to spend more on transport. He also expects an increase in the cost of food as women who order their merchandise from Soweto will also increase the prices of their merchandise.
The Ministry of Transport and Communications has failed to represent the people of Zambia and are to blame for the unreasonable increase in bus fares announced yesterday. We feel as PAC that the hike in bus fares is too much and will increase further the cost of living as people will now be required to spend more money on transport to collect goods and services from various places. We also expect an increase in the cost of food as women who order these merchandise from Soweto will also increase the prices of their merchandise. Prices of goods and services, especially imported products, are also likely to go up due to the fuel price increment in this country. We urge Zambians to brace themselves for harder times in 2020 as the economy is not showing any signs of recovery under the PF government.
National Union for Miners and Allied Workers NUMAO has called for a fatality-free 2020 in the mining sector. NUMAO President James Chansa says last year's record of fatalities in the mining sector was not good, hence the need for all players to this year work together to ensure that fatalities are prevented. Mr. Chansa says contractors should be supervised so as to prevent fatalities. He states that his union will work closely with the mining firms to ensure that safety of workers in the mines is enhanced.
Coming to the issue of safety, we've been having serious problems with safety, especially when we bring in the contractors. The contractors must be seriously supervised so that we minimize on the cases of fatalities and other minor injuries in the mining industry. If you check the records, you'll see that most of the workers who have been affected by the accidents are those from the contracting companies. So something must be done.
The Zambia Institute of Independent Media Alliance ZIMA has advised ZESCO Managing Director Victor Mundende to admit what he said on camera because the nation watched everything. ZIMA President Jaja Kolibali says that the Public Relations Department should have handled the crisis intelligently instead of blaming Prime Television. Mr. Kolibali says the reported attempt by ZESCO management to bribe the Prime TV journalist who did that story is a criminal offense punishable by law. He states that his demand is that Mr. Mundende be investigated for alleged attempt to bribe journalists.
ZESCO Public Relations Department has been exposed by this self-inflicted embarrassment from their chief executive officer. So the PR department should have handled the crisis intelligently instead of blaming Prime TV. In short, they should have advised Mr. Mundende to admit what he said, then later retract and apologize to his appointing authority. So as ZIMA will be happy to see the matter go to court so that the precedent can be set where sources learn to respect journalism and the space it gives for creativity. Actually, journalists should never be scapegoats for every careless talk from a source's mouth. Further, the reported attempt by ZESCO management to bribe the Prime TV journalist who did that story is a criminal offense and punishable by law. So we therefore demand that Mr. Mundende be investigated for the alleged attempt to bribe a journalist. And the Anti-Corruption Commission should investigate this matter with the speed they investigate other opposition political parties.
PF National Media Committee member Wadanondo has appealed to all political parties that are taking part in the Chururi parliamentary by-election to desist from violence. Mr. Nondo says political parties need to go there with a message and convince people of what they intend to do for them. He states that the country does not want to see any loss of life because of a by-election in Chilubi.
As Patriotic Front, we are resolved to conducting very peaceful elections and campaigns everywhere. And we want to appeal to our colleagues, especially the UPND, because in most cases we experience political violence each time we have by-elections in the UPND stronghold. I think this time around they need to learn from us, because each time we have by-elections in our stronghold, we do not actually experience political violence. I think as a nation, we need to live above that. We need to provide direction. We know that as a political party, we have influence on a section of society, and we need to encourage them that where we are right now, with all these challenges that we are facing, we need to be such leaders that are going to provide solutions to the challenges that our people are facing.
The ruling Patriotic Front and opposition UPND in Kalomo district of Southern Province say they are optimistic of winning the forthcoming February 13th Nachikungu ward by-elections. The two parties say they would be ready for campaigns for an appropriate civic leader to represent the people of Nachikungu ward. PF Youth Provincial Information and Publicity Secretary Paul Silungwe says the party would be on the ground and called on all political players to exert a fair playing ground. Meanwhile, the UPND says it is in good spirits to retain the seat, which fell vacant following the resignation of its civic leader, Kelvin Siakachanga, last October. A senior member who spoke on condition of anonymity has charged. The Electoral Commission of Zambia, ECZ, has set February 13th as a polling day for Nachikungu ward in Kalomo and others in Mongo, alongside the Chilubi parliamentary by-election. To end the news, we recap on stories making headlines. President Edgar Lungu has visited flood victims in Mambo district, where about 200 households have been displaced following flash floods that hit the area recently. And the University of Zambia UNZA has launched a farmer weather predicting phone application called CropWiz, meant to help in predicting weather patterns. On that note, we end the news. Thank you for watching.